Workers' Party went to a community and to declare the date for elections, and figure out that they had the opponent or the opposition with their pants down. Yes.
Well, go ahead.
And so they used the funds that was in their coffers.
Yes, you're right.
In their possession.
Yes.
I'm not saying the funds of government. I want to be very clear about that, because you have to understand there's a difference between
their funds,
government,
their funds.
between government and party.
Their funds.
Their funds.
And you're politically correct.
And their funds would come from friends, well-wishers, supporters that believe in their ideology and believe in who they are as a political organization. And so we would have seen the existence at that time, or the genesis at that time, of billboards, billboards around the country. We would have seen the genesis of people being paid to come into Dominica to vote. People being given flights and so on to come in to vote. We saw that genesis, that period. We would have seen some of the ills that they may consider as ill today existed in their period. So I don't understand why a political organization would request of any government, I want us to be careful here, of any government to place in their budget. And it might be a trick here, because if the government has to give you $10 million, it's not $10 million they give you not $2 million they give you every year in the budget. You're asking for that $10 million at the period of elections. So they might be talking against snap elections, because the government would have had to put it in their budget for them for that period in advance. All right. I don't think they have come to understand what is campaigning funds, because political parties have nothing to do with that of government.
But you see, you must understand language. That's why I'm telling you, I divided it into three main parts: the ethos and the pathos. Because when a man goes to speak to you, he has a motive. What is that motive? That motive is to create an emotion, to make you believe that what he's saying is credible. But within himself, he knows that is not true. Because he knows, when he studies the political history of the country, Dominica, that elections have been held many times, even when his party was in power, and he never gave the opposition force at the time.
I don't want to use the word many times. It has never been used. So when you say many times, you are saying that a few times it has happened. I'm saying it has never happened.
Then you understand what I'm talking about. Why now? Why you think the speaker wants it now? Well, the speaker wants it now because he wants to create a certain emotion in the persons listening to him, that they would say, yes, he's right.
Someone wants to speak to you. Good evening to you, caller. You're live.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
So
Good evening.
We're talking about this individual asking for $10 million to for the opposition to campaign, right?
Yes.
What we're not asking ourselves is, well, again, you have to give the guy credit, because according to Michael Jordan, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So you cannot give him faulting for trying. You understand? However, the same individual, or individuals took members of the government to court for treating and bribery.
You see, you're thinking.
Right?
Go on, you're thinking.
What then would you spend $10 million on if everything is treating and bribery? Bands, PAs, what else? T-shirts, gospel singers are all treating and bribery. What then would you spend $10 million on? Is it for debt forgiveness?
You go ahead. You have the floor. I'm listening to you.
No, I'm saying, what would he spend the 10 million on? Because it sounds like he needs some money to settle some bills.
Well, no. Well, first of all, let me be very clear to you, and you're a very intelligent man, so don't hide it. Therefore, we know, for instance, one fella told us that how you think we were able to pay for the buses? How you think we were able to pay for the sound system? How you think we were able to bring the artists? That's one fella telling that to us. But another fella told us that, boy, Al Jazeera told us that we needed to pay for buses. We needed to pay for entertainment. We need it. So we know from what we're listening to in terms of the pathos aspect of that speech is that he already knows that happened. The person knows that happened.
What I'm asking is, if the government gives him 10 million, is treating and bribery now legal, according to him?
Well, my friend, you have just answered the question. You know exactly, man. Don't play games with me.
No, I'm not asking.
Or is that speaker saying that treating and bribery is not illegal?
No, exactly.
Well, you see, you have to understand language, my brother. I tell all you that,
That's all, caller?
That's all. Boy, you all have to
Thank
go
you.
deep, to understand them kind of things that's being brought to us. They're not no ordinary man, That's a man that understands human behavior, So when we're taking that man for granted, you can't take a man like that for granted. Because he understands that language is not facts. It's not about the facts. It's about the emotions. He's not appealing to facts, but he knows the facts. He's appealing to human emotion. He is using psychology.
Someone is on the telephone. Good evening to you, caller.
Hey, good evening. Very interesting program. But Braid and Cecil Abdul actors, when you talk about $1 million for opposition leaders.
No, 10 million.
Parties.
10 million. 10.
Oh, yeah, 10 million.
Ça
right.
paye bien tête ou 10. C'est pas
So
young.
suppose it have 4 opposition parties now.
That's 40, sister. That's 40,
And Brent, when you talk about language, our body also have language too,
Exactly.
It's good to look at some people,
The
body
behavior, the
language.
emotional body language. And you're right.
Anyway, nice program.
Thank you.
Right. So very interesting here. The person already most likely knows, boy, I know that never happened before, but if I can put it in their heads now, maybe they will begin to listen to it. And the last one I would like to look
I don't think any intelligent person or group of people would even bother about if they are to hear this, even bother about even taking on that proposition.
Are you speaking from the facts?
No.
Haven't you heard intellectuals in the diaspora supporting that?
No. I said to you, listen to me. I'm saying the authority that is responsible, not the people in the diaspora. The people in the diaspora have their views, like the particular speaker. But I'm saying to you, the authority who has to be responsible for the bread and butter of the people of Dominica, the ones that the people give the authority to mandate and to manage the affairs of the country, I don't think understanding where this preposition is coming from, that they should even think of taking this preposition serious. I would not entertain discussion in that way, because if you do, according to you, you are just trying to again create some kind of fire for that person's emotion.
No, well, the person listening to that, or the persons listening to that, would say, but that doesn't make sense to me.
That's what I'm saying.
Because here it is, and here is some of the thinking that would go behind the decision that the person would make. But here it is that I was out there asking for assistance for my people during times of disaster, and I never got the support of that individual in terms of the money that I went outside there to raise. And the person would also think in terms of, but here is the thing that gives me all my money, the CBI, and that person has been trying to destroy it by the utterances. So why should I now, logic the person using, give that person that money when left to that person would have no money even to think?
No. For me, that's not important. For me, that's not important. If the law says, if the rule says that you have to give me my $10 million, the rule says that. Okay? So it doesn't matter where the money comes from. But I'm saying to you that's why I'm making the point that the law, the rules, does not make any provision for that. That's not part of an electoral, according to their terms, electoral reform or the modernization of the electoral process. So I don't see the rationale for even looking at discussing that issue of campaign funds.
So why is the person raising it?
Because according to you, the person believes in his or herself and figure out that someone else would believe what they say or would take on what they say and create a discussion. But this matter doesn't engage for me a discussion.
Well, all right.
I'll be disappointed. I would be disappointed. I'm saying that on national radio. I would be disappointed if the necessary authority would want to even have a debate or discussion on that matter, because we know that it is not a legal process.
Yeah.
We know that it is not part of the electoral process. So bring it up to me doesn't. For me, I would ignore it.
All right.
Because I would have asked the person, can you tell me of countries in the region where we have the same government system that makes provision for that? Can you tell me that you have been involved in the Antiguan opposition when they were in government? You were involved with them, advising them. Was that one of the advice that you would have given to them? And did they take that process forward after being in government, maybe after two elections?
But very good specific. You know what you have just done? You're using logic, which is the three things I wanted to mention to you. The final one is logic. So you're now using logic. You're bringing to bear what you notice happening in other jurisdictions during election campaigns. And as a result of your logic, you're correct. Because what you're saying there, since you know yourself, you have not seen that happen anywhere. And that is a fact. So your logic and your conclusion here is absolutely correct. So that is why when we are going to listen to politicians, or, for instance, preachers, because preachers themselves have taken on new roles, Is he speaking about the Bible? Is he talking about conversion? What is he saying to us? Why would a man have a 2-day vigil to commemorate May 29th, 1979, all of a sudden? Why is he doing that? Again, when he does that, he's appealing to the human emotion. He knows it's not a fact. But again, he's rousing the emotions of the people to do something when they know it is not actually logical. So that business of asking for $10 million is not a question of any logic, but it's a question of rising or creating people in a situation or mind or frame of mind to recognize, well, them fellas denying us the money. Them fellas have a lot of money. Why they can't give us 10 million? So when you're listening to speakers, you must always bear those things in mind. It is not appealing to facts.
But you see, there are still many people, which I think we are underestimating. There are many people who listen to speakers, and while they listen to these speakers, within their space, at the same time, they delve deep into logic, and so they can differentiate between garbage and logic. So if a gentleman, doesn't matter if he's a preacher man, doesn't matter if he's a politician, it doesn't matter if he's a banker, it doesn't matter if he's a bogus man, and he comes before us and have discussion, and the discussion is not factual, and I use the word factual to state that whatever you say must have proof or evidence.
But hear this: it's a man of God. It's a man on the pulpit, Cecil. It's a man who is supposed to be bringing people to heaven. He's a spiritual man.
No. That is foolishness about a spiritual man. Because I have been to churches and funerals where I've heard preachers say that this person is dead and is already with God, and that person knows that what they're saying there is foolishness. The judgment day hasn't come, so you know that person is not with God. You do not know what the last person's breath was like with God and the relationship. So who are you to make that judgment? So I'm saying to you that even if it's a preacher man, not every preacher man knows the gospel. Not every man that speaks the gospel knows of the gospel. Not every preacher man that speaks about a verse in the Bible understands the verse that he has just read. So don't be fooled by the connotation of a preacher man. There are many preacher men that they are just preacher men for their pockets. There are preacher men that are out there for their own fancy and whims, for their own ego and emotions. You know what I'm saying? For persons to say that they're bright but you don't have the truth in you.
But I'm glad you mentioned the last one, because you have seen of late that many preachers have used religion for money making, a business. They open a church here, they open a church over there, but their main intention is not spiritual things. They use the Bible, as you said, as a means of converting people to their religion. But it's not really for God. It's about banking. It's about luxurious homes. It's about buying fancy vehicles. They don't live up. So that is why when you hear a preacher on the pulpit speaking, you have to understand the three things I just gave you: ethos, pathos, and logic. That will guide you in terms of persons who come with their fancy speech, but it lacks credibility. There are no facts to support what they're saying. So listeners and persons who go out there, just like when you read things in the newspaper, it's not everything that's in black and white that is right. Because if for instance, and I don't want to stay too long on that, during war with two countries are fighting, do you know that there's a lot of propaganda? Media houses send out a lot of propaganda, and it's not factual.
As we are seeing in this present dispensation, we are seeing this Russian war and Russian war with
Ukraine.
And
there's a lot of misinformation.
And we're seeing a lot of misinformation. But we have to be able to understand what the medium in which it comes from is actually saying, and what they are actually placing out there as a propaganda. We should be able to analyze that. There's so much information in the world for us not to. We saw the situation in terms of Iraq with Saddam Hussein. And later on, we found out that the Americans knew that there was no mass.
Because remember, they told us that, and if we were logical, that they told us during the war of Iraq that there were weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
Colonel Powell told us that these things would be launched in 40 minutes. But if
the historical facts that we're talking about, if we have to go through with what happened in Egypt, we know why it occurred in Egypt, and what the opponent force said that would have happened in Egypt, and today we have seen contrary. So we know that it was not factual. We saw what happened in Libya. We know what the war was about in Libya. We all knew that it was about oil. Oil at the time was the father or the banks of the world, and so the countries that would have had more oil would have been the father of the world. Today we have seen what's going on in Libya. It's totally different from what the opponent party said when they were going inside of look at Angola, look at South Africa,
Look at Sudan.
look at Sudan. We have to, as a people, we must get ourselves more equipped. When I say more equipped, I'm not talking about guns and so, I'm talking about knowledge. Read more, have a better understanding. There are various media around the world. Do not just stick in the CNNs and the Al Jazeeras. There's French,
Yes, Germans.
there
Different
is
media houses.
There are various media houses that you can analyze what
Exactly.
you're hearing from one party to the other. And that's what's important. And so a guy might come with his fluent language of English, hoping that he could be able to convince people. But there's a greater pool of people that would sit and say, but Mr. saying about $10 million. Isn't that rubbish? Isn't that same guy talking about treating? Isn't that same guy who speaks about unfair advantage? Why would he know wants the government to give him $10 million?
Well, the reason why I raised those three aspects of our discussion here on language is because we always have to, when we are listening and when we are reading, be able to analyze the credibility of what we are hearing or what we are reading. Is it for instance, somebody says without examining the facts, well, somebody was driving down the road and that person just did this in the area of Salisbury, appealing to our emotions. Hey, so everybody jumping out, sending that on social media, and everybody is really up in arms. But that really happened now because with electronic media, you could just send out something now for now, But when people got the facts, that wasn't true at all. So that's why I'm saying to people that whenever you see anything on social media, whenever you hear anything on talk shows, whenever you hear anything coming out from people, you have to critically analyze what the person is actually saying. Is it really a fact? So those three aspects I bring out there was you must use your logic. Is it logical?
And sometimes you see some things on blogs. People who are there to tint you as evil as possible. I always tell people, these people with these blogs, those type of blogs, will have great numbers. But it's important that as a people, that we have to first come to understand when people give us information, how do we consume that information, or how do we deal with that information that you believe that you are challenged with in terms of understanding. And that's why I said that we have to always find ourselves reading, and if we get ourselves more knowledgeable of the things around us, we can decipher things. Because many times what we have found out is people are able to convince us because they know that we are gullible. It's much more difficult for people to convince people who are, I would say, analyze things, look at things differently, ask questions on whatever they would have heard. And so it's important that as a people that we start to think in a direction of you wanting to know what is the truth rather than somebody trying to tell you, okay, that is the truth and you believe, and not making your research. And I have seen this happen, not just in Dominica, but in the small island states, where many a times that politicians are who are not able to give you factual information. They are not in the kitchen to feel the heat to tell you what is right or what is wrong. And they're making assumptions that are very wrong. So you are not the Minister of Finance, but you are able to say how much money that the Minister of Finance has spent in a particular project. But you may have gotten a BEF or a SIPSION from some other person and you take what that person said to you as gospel and you run with it rather than trying to seek for information, analyze the information that you have gotten, and to then decide what you are about to say or do, that will really help your credibility. And that's why a lot of opposition, a lot of politicians who are on the opposite side do not have that credibility, because they don't speak from an informative background.
Well, you see, social media is something now, you know. Because with the advent of the internet, people are able to send out information that is not credible to misinform their audience. So people tend to believe what they see on their phone is the gospel. Not really. So people must be able to sit down and analyze what it is that I'm seeing. Because you see, one of the things that people do now is to edit things, you know. For instance, Cecil, I could put your head on somebody else's body, you know. With the new social media, people have the ability to do that.
You call that crop.
Right.
You can
so
crop.
all this technology is there. So people can set it up, and people receiving it believe it's the truth that they're actually seeing. So in other words, that's misinformation. That is why it's critical that when anybody comes and speak to you, you have to understand what it is they're actually saying to you. Because social media is a powerful tool, because people are not looking at the facts. They're appealing to your emotions. And so they haven't got time to analyze. But what Mr. said there for me, is that really true? Because it causes the brain now not to assimilate what they're actually seeing, but just to believe what they're seeing. You see the danger about that? So when a person comes and says certain things, people must begin to take time to study what it is that the person actually saying. So we have a responsibility.
As we come to the conclusion of our program tonight, Afanaz and Hodge into the Western East side. Hodge first game he took 2 for 29, I think it was. 2 for 42, sorry. 2 for 42, I think it was. But he took 2 wickets. And in Afanaz's first game, I saw on the social media they have him as an all-rounder, but he batted open, scored 65 out of 42 balls. Congratulations to Afanaz, and I'm sure the people of Granby, they are proud, and the people from the Kalinago, they are proud of Hodge, you know, Calvin Hodge, because he's of the Kalinago descent, and also that of Afanaz, who's from the south of Granby. So I'm sure on the whole that Dominica is proud and is hoping that he can continue in the success.
Well, I'm proud of Afanaz, but I'm very disappointed at the same time. And let me tell you why I'm saying that, because I watched him bat. You have to know that when you have reached in the 50s and you're going into the 60s, you must love hundreds. You must have an appetite for, like Brian Lara, for big runs. You know you're a man from a small island state, and you've been knocking on the door for a very long time. You must score 100 runs. That shot that he has, he needs to get it out of his aster. That kind of reverse sweep, I don't like that shot at all.
I won't totally agree with
that's
you.
My comment.
In terms of
have
the
you ever
reverse
seen
sweep.
Lara make the reverse sweep in any of his innings?
Maybe it might not be a strong point for him, but
he never made that
Afanaz,
shot.
Afanaz may have known that he, when in the nets, he does it well, and it happens that he misjudged this one. And maybe the bowler, actually, I could sense that the bowler gave him a slower one.
No,
he's an off
his
bowler,
coach,
but
and I will not call his coach's name. If you have scored a lot of runs by playing conventional shots, stick to what you know. You are 65. You're 35 runs away from 100. Stick to the basic. Lara says in many of the interviews, and Sober say, you accumulate runs. In other words, by now the bowler has to be afraid to bowl to you. You have taken control of him. He doesn't want to bowl to you. You hit him over the top. You're cover driving. You're square cut. You're pulling. You're in control. So why make a shot at a critical time? You did it the first time. He did the shot when he was about 50-something. He did the shot. And the commentators were all saying he should not do the shot. He approached 65 and he made the shot again. And it was his demise. There was a time when he did the shot again in one of the games that he was playing. I can't recall which one of them. So I'm saying, yes, he's a great batsman, but he can be greater. He needs to get greater because when you come from a small island, 60 runs is not enough as far as they're concerned. You got to get 100.
And the discuss that I do not like. I'm on a chat with some people of the bigger islands of the West Indies, and there's a particular guy that I had a rainy day with him yesterday because he's trying to state that Afana scored 65 against UAE, and I brought him down to make him understand that Kenya beat West Indies with Brian Lara.
You're right.
Zimbabwe, when they were zero at all, nothing at all.
They beat us. Mm-hmm.
They beat the West Indies.
Afghanistan.
And see where Afghanistan is today.
Ireland,
Scotland.
Scotland beat us.
So it's not about the name of the country. The guys, as I said to that same guy, that many of those players, that they have much more cricket experience than Afanas. There's the 17-year-old that is playing that got Afanas out. You can see that he's a very good off-spin bowler.
He's a very good bowler.
He will be a very good bowler.
He's a very good bowler
for the future, like that of what we now see in Afghanistan.
Well, but there was one of the guys playing for India, and during the Under-19 World Cup, Afanas got more runs than him.
Yes, I think it's Gill.
Solomon Gill.
Right.
So
and he's playing for India.
He's playing for India. So the idea that is the Emirates, no.
And you see it, and as I said to the guy on the social media, that if Afanas fails tomorrow, I will analyze what his failure is and speak about it too.
When are they playing again? Against Zimbabwe? In Zimbabwe, they're going to Zimbabwe.
They're going to Zimbabwe for the qualifiers. So I really want to tell Afanas, I'm sure his family would hear that, to just take your time, focus on every ball. Don't get excited about the 65. The 65 is gone. The next time you get to the innings, to the crease, just consider it as a new day.
But I'm putting in the motion tonight, and that's me speaking. It's not DBS. When the West Indies come to Dominica, I think they're going to be playing against India. Afanas must play. I'm not saying that he may get a break, because I've looked at the batsmen that they have been recycling all the time, and I look at their discipline in terms of the shots, and I see none of them, these recycled fellas they're bringing, who has the potential like Afanas has. And too often, as a small island, we are afraid to say it, because we're afraid that, but he come from Dominica, and we shouldn't be saying anything about that. The man time is now. I do not want the man to be like Irving Shillingford when he on bended knees, as though you're giving him a favor. Now that he's in form, you pick him now. Don't wait for later. Give him his opportunity now. He has done it now, and now is the time. I am not waiting for later.
Well, I'm not even speaking about that, because the first two games in the UAE, Afanas didn't play the first two games. He played only the last game, and I'm sure that if the other opener was well, I'm not so sure if Afanas would have gotten a chance.
Well, time for that is over.
I'm just telling you. And
it's
but
right now.
I think what will happen is some kind of logic, and the logic that will happen is that we are coming to Dominica, Dominica has always supported the West Indies, and the Dominican public would have expected us to pick Afanas, and if they don't pick Afanas, the next day they may not come at all.
Well, I am saying right now, I think the test team coach is Darren Sammy.
Darren Sammy.
Well, we have.
And I want to say congratulations to Darren Sammy, because I know some of the big countries, people in the big countries, are criticizing the fact that he is the coach, one of the coaches. But I can say that even if you want to say it's UAE, but he has got no whitewash.
Yeah, he's a very effective leader.
Yeah,
and one cannot say nothing less than that, because he has brought West Indies to 2 World Cups.
right.
So he's a very good leader. And when under his reign, West Indies had begun to climb in the test ratings.
And one of the things I would want to see happen in Dominica, Brain, I hope people like Trevor Shillingford and the minister responsible for sports, would you hear me? That presently today, cricket is the only sport in the region, and more so Dominica, where our guys can become professionals. Look at Shane Shillingford. Shane Shillingford became a professional, and Shane Shillingford is, I can say, well off. And any other person that would have played, I'm sure right now, young Afanas and Hodge are feeling the heat of the finance with the West being selected on the West Indies team. So I'm saying that let us now take some time and put some nets around the country. Get young boys interested to play cricket. Let them start to bowl and bat. We have 2 places that we really play cricket. 2 real places.
Gardens?
No. Portsmouth and the Windsor Park. Gardens, you play cricket in Gardens, but you're still being challenged by guys coming to play footballs, the small goal footballs and so on. Other communities too. So I think what central government now needs to focus on, and I'm sure that my good friend George would hear that, that we have to now get the business houses in Dominica or get partners in England and other places to sponsor nets now. Let's get nets. Let's start to play in the nets. Because I know the only place that there is a net, I think, is Portsmouth.
Yes.
And I think we now need to create that opportunity for those men and women, because women now playing cricket. Yes. So that we can see a better side, a stronger side. And so I'm also calling on the Cricket Association, headed by Masle, that City Central Government gets the people from overseas, get the British Cricket Association, be in some kind of relationship
with them,
with them, and see how best that we can derive much more from those countries that are elite to the game, and help us to strengthen our art.
And I would say more grassroots cricket. Get the young boys and young girls involved in it.
Because you see, we have to make people know that at this present time, cricket is the game that brings the money.
Just the money, yeah.
You know?
Big money.
We only have just one semi-professional footballer in Dominica.
That's Wade in Scotland.
In Scotland. I'm just telling you, so there's only one we have.
Yeah.
Just one. No, we have many good footballers, but from their talent, are they being paid for their talent?
No.
We don't see that. So I'm saying to you, we have seen a few Dominicans being paid for playing cricket. Even the T20.
Handsomely.
T20 that just finished there recently. The guys got some money.
Yes. The T10.
So I'm saying if T10, sorry, if our guys become professionals, we can see much more. So what has to happen for them to become professionals? They must get more playing time. And playing time doesn't necessarily mean playing a match against another team. Playing time is to also be in the nets.
Right.
You know, and I think we need to we need to start talking about these things
Right.
and see how best. As I said, central government, the Cricket Association, businesses, because there are a number of business houses in Dominica who the guys themselves are playing cricket. So, for instance, the National Credit Union sponsored the league.
Right.
I'm asking of the National Credit Union, can you also invest in putting a net or two in Roseau so that the guys from Roseau can
play.
get more serious into cricket and play,
I
and the
agree.
women.
I agree.
We have other organizations in Dominica that can
Can
really
play their part,
can really play their part in ensuring that Billy Dokchov, an elite umpire,
right.
he has a semi-bank.
You have a semi-bank.
If you can say that,
You have a fast cash.
I have a fast cash.
So he can invest.
And he can tell himself, from every dollar that I receive, let me put 1 cent aside
Right.
for young
The
cricketers.
National Lottery can help.
The National Lottery.
Can
You know,
help.
and I'm saying this because I'm getting very much passionate. Right
You
now,
like you like your cricket system.
we have 2 guys
3
who are-
in fact.
who are destined.
Don't we have another one?
No, I know 2.
Well, 2 good ones, but I
Right.
know what is the name of Clem John's grandson?
You talk about Jelani.
Yeah, I've seen him.
I mean, Jelani, yes, he's a promise.
he's a promising.
Yeah, he's a promise. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying that we have 2 young men
Right.
who are at the professional level.
Knocking.
Right. I'm saying right now is the appropriate time for us to get all on sundry. Stop talking and not making our money reach where we have to reach. So if it means that a few of us companies have to come together,
Yeah, let us do that, man.
and find out what the cost is, and if we have to give 1,000, and if it's 20,000, if you get 20 companies coming together to put 1,000 just to help 50 young men
That was nice.
to become professional later, that would be nice.
But Cecil, before I go, I wanted to say
Yeah.
something too. My goodness me, that Margot Hospital has gone a very long way. Have you?
Oh, you saw it? But I told you recently.
Man, we cannot hide that before we go, man.
I told you recently.
That Margot Hospital is state of the art, man. To be open next month, Cecil.
Uh-huh.
From
Yeah.
what I'm hearing from the
Yes.
Minister of Health, man, is state of the art.
Have you been inside of the
Man, I've been there.
Right.
Have you been?
You asking me if I've been? You asking
My,
me? You're joking, man.
When I heard about
I'm ashamed that you're even asking that question.
I just wanted to make sure. But it's a beautiful edifice, man. Cecil, that's beautiful. It augurs well for the people of Margot. That's money well spent.
Not just Marigot. You have that segment of Marigot, the Kalinago territory, Concord, Wesley. You know, you have
That's
that
beautiful.
area.
Man. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful building. Well located, money well spent.
Not just a beautiful building. The equipment in
the
that
equipment.
building. That's
Yeah,
just
state of the art.
I don't want to talk about the beauty of the building. I want to talk about the state of the art.
yeah.
I want to talk about the state of the art that is inside of that.
Yeah,
of that
operations
of that,
to be
yeah.
done there too, eh?
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing, and I'm
very
sure
beautiful.
when and I don't want to take the seal from the minister, so I won't say what's in it. I'm sure when the day of the
Next
inauguration or the commissioning of the hospital, that we will hear all what is in it. I mean, and I just want to ask people, when you hear of the commissioning of the hospital, please, no matter what side you support,
Go.
doesn't matter if you're workers, your labor, your freedom, or it doesn't matter what side
Go.
or
Go
no
and
side
support
that
it.
you are
Go
on.
and support it.
Not just support. Go and see for yourself what is there.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And I can guarantee you that you would be you'll be happy about it.
Oh, but-
I just want to say though, today I was supposed to go to Vickers, and I just want to tell my friends in Vickers for the cricket. They started some cricket games every Sunday.
But
They started today.
You must play there, man, says so.
Play.
You're not too old, man. You're
Well,
a good
I
batsman.
finish. I'm a spectator now, you know.
Hey, watching.
Yeah, I'm a spectator now.
Another good thing before we leave, and I also want to emphasize.
So
that-
I just want to apologize to the guys who
Yeah,
are not
go
being
ahead.
there today. You know, but we've got to my life next week. I will be there.
And I also want to see how beautiful work is going on at the international airport.
Oh yes. Oh
With
yes.
Cecil.
Oh
Trust me,
yes.
brother.
I mean that
I
is
don't-
flying.
I don't
Work
know
is
what's
flying.
I don't know what's
It's
happening.
it's unbelievable the amount of work
unbelievable. It's
that has
unbelievable.
already happened.
It's undelivered.
It is really, truly on. And I want to say to us in Dominica, let us start toying around our
Go
country.
there, man.
Let's start toying around our country, because a lot of people, if you live in Portsmouth and you have not gone to Marigot, or you have not gone to La Plaine, or you have not gone to Daly's, you will not know of the work of central government that they have done in those communities. You will not know of the road network that are there. You will not know of the medical and the educational aspect that is actually happening in these communities. You will not know about the Joe Burton area. And I'm not saying, they tell me do not say Joe Burton. I have to call it the
Grants Avenue.
Grants Avenue. So you have to go to Grants Avenue to see the caliber, the type of houses that have been built. I think it's not about politics.
Go, man, and see it.
And the truth is, if any other government was in power and Dominica would have moved from where it is, I would be very supportive and proud of my country.
That's good.
And that is what we have to be as a people.
Have you been to the Castle Bruce Road?
No, I have tempted to
go
be there, to go there. But I suspect this week, as you say, that I'll take a ride.
And take
because
some
I was going to do it one time, but I said I wanted to do it when the Kalinago Territory road is finished. But you're right. I think
the bridges are here. I saw the crane.
Yeah.
That Gadakan brought a kind of crane. They're just going to lift the bridge, you know. That crane will just lift the bridge and put it there, you know. And still, that bridge they're putting there, the bridges they're putting in Castle Bruce, especially the two I saw, these bridges will last for about 200 years, man. Modern technology says it. Right now, it's just put bridge, you know. Just lift up the bridge, you know, and put it there. You must go see it for yourself.
Yeah, I will go see it myself.
That's amazing. And Dominicans themselves, no matter which political side you are, go to your country.
Well, when we look truly about Dominica in terms of our infrastructure, road network, I mean, just look at Roseau, what Roseau was in 1990, what Roseau was in 1990. And just imagine if Roseau had all of this transportation that we now have today, Roseau would have been in serious chaos. It would have been congestion upon congestion. Although we have seen outlets in Roseau and there is congestion, but I'm just imagine there were just only two bridges, one bridge going in, one bridge going out. What would have been
what
Roseau
the situation?
like?
And let me say, I'm so elated, Cecil, that next to me, I'm looking forward to the commencement of the Goodwill Secondary School. That one is dear to me. So I understand works will begin very soon in terms of the demolition. So I'm looking for it. But I'm also very pleased to see the works that's going on at the Dominica Grammar School.
Yeah.
So Dominicans, go look at your island and see what's happening around you. Thank you, Cecil, for being with you tonight.
Thank you very much.
And I enjoy, Dr. Anselm, I must congratulate her on a wonderful performance tonight. Congratulations on your doctorate. My good friend Gasson, I know right now your nose is like Pinocchio. Every time you hear your wife, your nose growing longer, boy. And it was a good discussion. Let me say good night to all Dominicans. It was a pleasure interacting with you tonight. Go out and have a beautiful day tomorrow.
The blaze, bless us. The incident happened off the coast of...
Yes, I just want to say thank you also to the listeners for staying tuned tonight. And we again will be back next week. Next week I'm going to see if I can get Miss Akpa. If anyone has her number, you can send it to me, or if Miss Akpa, you're hearing me, you can send me your number. My number is 275-880. I repeat, 275-880. So you can send me a WhatsApp message and give me that number of my Akpa, Miss Akpa, Mrs. Akpa, so that next week again we can continue the discussion on the Creole this time around, the Creole. So thank you again, wherever you are. God bless you. And stay strong. I'm going to bring you across to the BBC World Service. My name is Cecil Joseph. Happy to be with you. From my heart to yours, I love you, Dominica.
He was stopped late one evening in Lausanne by a policeman who suspected him of drug dealing. When he refused to be searched, 6 officers pinned him to the ground, some reportedly kneeling on his back for several minutes, during which he lost consciousness. The defence argues the police acted responsibly and claim Mike Ben Peter's death was likely due to underlying heart problems and the fact he was overweight. The case is coming to trial just a few months after a UN report said Switzerland had a problem with systemic racism. The Swiss authorities accepted that racism needed to be tackled with greater urgency, but questioned whether the UN's use of a few specific cases really proved that racism was systemic.
Imogen Folks reporting. Now let's get some sports news with Paul Sarahs.
Novak Djokovic has won the French Open, beating the 4th seed Casper Ruud in straight sets in the final to claim his 23rd Grand Slam singles title, a new men's record. The BBC